All right. Welcome to another adventure with Dana and I.
Always an adventure. So first thing off the hop is that we have shifted the name of this series. So we were calling it Radical Honesty. We've discovered, of course, that somebody else owns that rights to that name. So we're calling it Radically Honest instead. Same concept, different name, so that we are not stepping on anybody's toes and being honorable.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get into it. So
how about
another exciting adventure?
I know, right? Always.
You will laugh, you will cry, you will come on with the journey, and you will learn some pieces about what it means to be honest, what it takes to be honest, and why you actually want to put the effort into this, because it sounds like a lot of work, but it is extremely rewarding. At least that's been my experience between you and I, and in other dynamics in my life. I just want to hold that out for people, that there's a reason to keep coming to these crazy episodes. They are dynamic.
Actually, I want to just, I have an example of why, like even yesterday was I have a great example. So, as you'll find out, we're doing a lot of course correcting and changing paths. So Dana was building our beautiful new landing page for our beautiful new adventure that we'll tell you about later in the episode. And she sends me the link, and I see the link, and I go to the thing, and I'm like, internally, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, I just spelled my name wrong. No. And so it was really beautiful in the transition in our relationship, because then I went back to send her an email. And in that email, my first people pleasing, want to sugarcoat it, response.
Conditioning, right? The conditioned response.
The conditioned response my whole entire life. And I wanted to write this long novel about how, I still love her and that she's still okay. And I appreciate that the hard work she did, and try to sugarcoat the whole thing. And then I was like, wait, no, Dana and I have worked really hard to drop into just being honest with each other and not internalizing it and meaning it anything beyond what we say. So I just wrote, no, don't like it. That's it.
I think you actually said, I don't like any of this.
Did I say any of it? I don't know if I said
I don't like any of
it.
it. I don't know.
But
I pull up the email, but it was definitely energetically of like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, this is horrible. That was the energy. So honestly, on my end of it, I had to take a breath. I was like, I felt that initially. It was like, whoa. And then I was like, oh, actually, yeah, it's probably not great. I was really dropped into a headspace that wasn't, the best fit for this. So I was like, okay, let's talk it through. Because one of the things I know in the, way you and I work in marketing is that we'll have this conversation, you hold a space and start probing a few ideas, and then I get a channel, it just drops in for the marketing messaging. And once that happens, it's beautiful. It's absolutely on point.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, recognizing that it's like, okay, it's not about me being wrong or bad or any of that. It was just, okay, this doesn't work for what we want to create.
Yeah. And then we got on a call and we had the conversation, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Yeah. But I just wanted to say that that's why it's worth working through these moments of being uncomfortable or having uncomfortable conversations or setting up the stage to have that, so that you could feel what you needed to feel. And you did say, when I got on the call, you're like, bitch, I put a lot of work into that. I'm like, I know. And I appreciate all the work you did. However, and then we talked it out, and then we created what needed to be created. And I just want to show, I wanted to share that, because that's just like one little moment And I was talking with my partner later in the day, and I was like, you know what? I love my relationship with Dana. I love that I can just say stuff and I don't have to tiptoe through the tulips and afraid that I'm going to be in trouble, or she's going to be angry, or she's going to disown me, or she's going to stop talking to me, or I've hurt her feelings, or I've offended her, or any of these things. It's like, it's this beautiful piece of just being able to say what I think without having to do all of those pieces. So at first it may feel like, oh, this is really uncomfortable and all this, but I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it's so freeing and liberating and quick. And we resolved that quickly. Like it got resolved within, I saw the thing, we got on a call, it was resolved, like the uncomfortable.
I think 45 minutes, we were done.
But I would say like the potential conflict piece lasted maybe a minute, between me feeling uncomfortable, how I was going to say it, to you you processing it, for us to then come on the phone. It was like maybe a minute of that feeling of potential conflict. And it was resolved within that quick space.
Yeah. And that's a really big thing. Like I see with my clients, this piece where it's that churning in your brain of, what do I say? How do I justify this? And like long-winded emails. Like the biggest thing that I always work with clients is like, stop justifying, just take that shit out of there. Talk to the facts. Here's what I need. Can you deliver it? That is the biggest crux of like trying to be efficient in business. But it comes from this place of really letting go of our need to people please, our need for people to like us, and, trying to get it right, and, doing all of those things. Whereas when you come from this place of like, here's what I need, can you do it? And you have no attachment to what their response is going to be, it opens up a whole new space. But what you and I are doing is like next level. Like we're really both committed to dropping into this. But I think there's benefits on, multiple levels. Even if the person that you're working with isn't as deeply committed as you are to it, there's still a lot of benefits to being able to hone these skills in your life and in your business.
So let's talk about why we've done a turning of a corner. We've changed directions. We got on a new track. So one of the things that we were doing is we were, showing up for you guys so that, we could then all hang out in a, weekend retreat. And we've decided that that's eventually something we're going to do, but we wanted to offer a smaller, more tangible, easier, more comfortable space for us to start talking about these ideas of honesty and trust and, all of these pieces. But that's why we're doing it for you guys. But let's talk about why we had to do that for us.
No, I don't want to disclose that. Yeah. So here's
so content warning. We are going to be vulnerable. Who knows? We probably might be cry, tears. Who knows what's going to happen? But we are going to be real. We're going to be honest, and we're going to be authentic with you guys. So, all right.
Okay. So in the time that you and I have known each other, we have talked off and on about doing something together because we both have a lot of skills. We both hold a lot of power, a lot of magic. And it's like, why wouldn't we, pair up and do something together, collaborate? Mm-hmm. That sounds really great. However, we both have issues in sharing the stage because we're both very big, personalities, big energy. And then there's like a lot of stuff. I'll speak for me. So I have a lot of issues in trusting women in particular, that they're actually going to have my back, that they're, not going to throw me under the bus, that I'm not going to get, arrested or whatever because of their bad behavior. Not mentioning any names. This is not this lifetime, but yeah. So Gaia has always been a troublemaker.
That is very true. And as long as we stay in Canada, we should be fine.
Right. Exactly. So unfortunately that kind of stuff overlays into this lifetime, in that, there's like, I come in with this piece where it's not okay for me to let other people be part of what I'm doing. I'm not, somewhere in there is this wiring of like, don't share the stage. And that's been a theme, right? Like every time I've tried to collaborate, tried to be part of a group, oh my God, how many groups have I been kicked out of because I can't get my mouth shut? These these pieces, I think these pieces overlay for us working together. So it sounds really great. But then when the logistics of it comes in, then all of my internal resistance kicks in. And then, of course, that internal resistance shows up as like, oh, I'm not going to actually promote it. And I'm going to drag my feet. And, I don't, it's like, I'll sort of half-ass show up. So that was what was going on. And part of this pivot is to give us, you and I, a chance to work together on something smaller, ease ourselves in as well as other people. I mean, the topic is big. Yes. But also it's us easing in together in that smaller format so we can build more trust.
And I love you. And thank you for risking and sharing that.
You're welcome. So what was your ugly shit on that?
So now let's change the subject.
No, right. I don't want to talk about my shit anymore. Fucking let's move on.
Okay. So one of the things that we came up with around, helping Dana feel safe and comfortable, so that we weren't in competition pieces, to look at it as a team, that we were on this adventure as a team, and leaning in on a team as a team partnership, that resonated and became easier for Dana. Not for me though. Fuck that shit. So for in all honesty, for the most part, leading up to that moment, I was doing really good. Like I was good about, she's a separate entity, I'm a separate entity, we co-create together. That I feel really comfortable with. And if you look at my lifestyle and you look at my relationships and you look at all that stuff, that's very much how I move in the world. And it works really well. You're a separate entity, I'm a separate entity. We consciously co-share a thing, and then we separate, but we're always separate. We're always separate beings, constant separation. So in this process of needing to be a team, to help Dana feel good, all of a sudden Dana feels great, and now I'm like, what the fuck? All my shit comes up. All of my intimacy issues, my trust issues, my betrayal issues, everything that's happened, all the things that have happened with betrayal of past relationships or with women, work relationships, particular with women that were under the umbrella of partnership and teamwork, and like this, not collaborative, but like really intimate, more connected. We are a we of sorts in this project. So then I was like, and so, which was a beautiful opportunity for me to go look at some shit that apparently I'm still carrying, and do some grieving and releasing and healing. And it was this wonderful piece of showcasing the truth. So that's what, like, so I can move in a way, and I can set something up in a way that feels safe or comfortable for me. And it can appear to look like everything is fine. So I think that's the piece. So for me, it appeared for like the last year and a half while we've been navigating all this stuff, I felt pretty good about, like, not much stuff has come out between you and I around this. And it looks very much like, oh, so guys cleared that. She's totally good. No, I wasn't. because of the framework that I had set up, because of the filter, my truth filter of the situation that I put into place, it didn't trigger the things that did exist there. Eventually, it wouldn't have mattered if it was because we pivoted and we had this conversation now. Eventually, that would have shown up in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the ugly part for me. And so now I'm like all leaning in and like being all like lovey-dovey and like all like, where are we? And everything's good and intimacy is okay. And I'm risking without the outcome and all the stuff, which has opened up a lot of possibilities, not just in my relationship, in this collaboration, but also in all of my relationships, relying on like, oh, there's some intimacy issues everywhere.
Funny how that happens.
It's funny how it's like we work on one area, it's showing up in all areas. So
yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's like, it's thinking of this, that when, you know, sometimes it seems like, oh, this is too much work to do. You know, I have other things to get done. I don't have time to process. But the reality is, I mean, it probably took us longer to talk about it than to process it.
Yeah.
It's very fast when you allow yourself to really lean in, acknowledge it fully, and let it go. The thing I find that for most people is this, and I've been there, okay? Like, I'm not going to pretend that I have not been this person to like completely resist any actual deep healing. There have been times. But when I don't resist it, when I actually like, okay, what if I didn't choose to have judgment of me? And I let myself acknowledge the ugly truth, you know, that I think is ugly, that I'm judging as ugly, because that's really what it is that I'm judging as ugly. If I let myself own that, then I can take a deep breath and I can let that judgment go. And then there's a new space for a new possibility. That's really the crux of it. But I find that for most people, there isn't the training. And that's a lot of what you and I do, is train people how to get connected with that possibility, so that you can get to this place where you are letting things go very quickly, which then, you know, it's a dynamic change in how you move in all your relationships, work, personal, family, all of it. Life becomes easier.
And that's a beautiful point, because in some ways, because both of us have been consciously practicing this for a while, that there's that piece that it doesn't take us very long. So for example, it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that we basically pivoted, and I'm like, okay, I need some time. And it basically took me 2 days. Like, it was a 2-day of using my tools, doing the rewiring, all that stuff within 2 days. But that's been a lifetime of shit that's been attached there. And within 2 days, it was out of my system, cleared, done. And so, and that was a big one. That was a heavy one. And so if you take things that aren't so big, it can be like our earlier conversation about, it only took us a minute between, this is what my conditioning is. Okay, I'm going to say the thing. Your conditioning is to be like, oh, that was mean, you bitch. To be like, well, that's not my intention, but all right, okay, let's clear that. Like, that only took a minute. So if you look at it as that, those moments of feeling uncomfortable, that's all I'm going to say, is that it really is just uncomfortable feeling. And we're so afraid of that feeling, but it doesn't last very long. And we actually spend so much more time trying to energy and resources trying to avoid that feeling than it is to rip off the Band-Aid and feel it for a minute or 5 minutes or even a half a day or 2 days in particular case. So it doesn't have to be, like, I think our fear of it is way, way bigger than what it ever is when we're actually see it and look at it and release it without the resistance piece.
Yeah. And that's the That's the piece I think for anybody listening to really lean into. So, when you have something coming up that feels like, oh, I don't want to look at this, to first of all, start leaning into the fact that like, okay, what if it's easier than I imagine it's going to be, right? Yeah. Opening that question, I find is a good space to start that possibility in your brain. Yeah. Like, what if it's easier? I'm not saying go to the place of like, it's going to be easier. It's like, what if it could be? Just creating some space and starting to condition yourself in a new pattern where, okay, this is what I'd like. I'd like for it to be easy. I'd like for it to be something that I'm willing to lean into. So what would make it just a little bit easier? What if I let go of just a little bit of it? And then gradually increasing that amount so that you're conditioning yourself, and it's like strengthening the muscles, right? You're gradually lifting a bigger and bigger muscle, and you're gradually letting go and leaning in more and more. So I always like to, preface this, because sometimes we're shown this before and after, this dramatic before and after. We think, oh, you have to get there in one foul swoop. And that's such a lie. Like I see it a lot. Of course, I'm very focused on business, and I see that so much with people who are talking about business stuff. This is a wee rant, but this idea that it's like, oh, well, I did this one thing and then boom, I was able to like magically lean in and hire my team and, start to create 7-figure income. And it's like fucking bullshit. Can we talk about all the things you had to do to get to the place where you're willing to do that? And the fact that like there's a process. It's not overnight. There's a whole lot of things that go on. There's a whole lot of mess behind the scenes. And there was a whole lot of doubting of your own fucking abilities along the way, but nobody's talking about that because they just want to showcase this. Oh, like I got here and I can get you there too. It's like, fuck off.
Okay. You done with your, are you
I think I'm done with the rant.
You're done
the
with
rants
the
are
rant?
good. Come on.
All right. Let's tie that back into not just from a business standpoint, but from a relation standpoint. Absolutely. Relationships. So we spend all this time avoiding uncomfortable conversations.
Oh my God.
In relationships, we avoid having making decisions because that might be uncomfortable and we're afraid of the outcome of those pieces. Right. All of those avoidance. The avoidance is actually way worse than just taking a moment and leaning in.
Yeah.
But that takes practice. And that's that piece that takes practice. It takes skills. It's like you do baby steps. You don't just all of a sudden be like, okay, I've had this thing that's been bothering me my whole entire life of this existence of this relationship. And now I've never told my partner or my friend that this is a thing. And now I'm just going to go right for it. I don't recommend that.
No.
To baby steps, little things. And you want to do it in stages, whatever it is, any kind of personal growth, you need to do it in stages.
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
So how are we going to tie all of that in now to our workshop?
Okay. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the workshop, and I think we could tie it in. But so the 2-hour workshop that we're going to do is the first level. It is looking at, how do you tell when somebody's lying? What are the markers? How can you feel that? Sorry. both in your body, but also it's like, what are those indicators? Mm-hmm. And also more importantly, I think there's this piece of understanding what makes people lie. Mm-hmm. What is that? Because it's not always a straight up obvious, I want to manipulate someone into doing what I want. We lie to ourselves, and as a default, we end up lying to other people. So being able to spot when somebody else is lying to you, and then being able to take that deeper and say, what is the motivator? Is that intentional? Is that not intentional? And being able to really go deeper with it, right? Because there's lots of people that'll teach you, how do you understand the facial features and those kinds of things. But this is like going much deeper and understanding the behind the scenes.
Yes.
Which is going to allow you to navigate these conversations with more ease. So first level is really understanding how do you know when somebody's lying, and understanding and differentiating what are their motivators so that we can work with that.
Yeah. So it's going to be on June 9th. It's online. So you can be anywhere in the world. You don't even have to show up with pants on. Just make sure that we can't see that.
Keep your camera up. I don't want to see your no pants day.
Yes. And
I don't think you should invite people to do no pants. Like, really? They're, if anybody's following us, they are likely to show up naked on the call. Like, okay, we're just going to say that's not appropriate. Put clothes on.
Yes, we need to see that you have clothes on. What we can't see, none of our business.
I don't think you should even give them that invitation. These people who are going to be drawn to work with us and come to this, if you're inclined to come to this workshop, you're probably inclined to be a troublemaker. I'm just saying.
All right. So for Dana's comfort level,
please put pants on.
Please put pants on. Apparently there's a boundary here that needs to be respected. Okay. So I'm going to respect her boundary that she's saying, stop asking people to show up with no pants. So you're not allowed to show up with no pants. Okay. I rescind that invitation.
If it's a Gaia workshop on her own, you can show up with no pants. We'll just say that.
Okay. So we set some parameters, some boundaries. Everybody has to show up with clothes on.
Okay. Yes. So 2-hour Zoom workshop, interactive. So you're going to be able to ask your questions. You can have a hot seat if you want to have a hot seat, or, and it is the foundational pieces that people need for navigating in a way that is honest and open and transformative.
Yeah. And when you're working with us, and I think this is really important, just because we said it's on Zoom doesn't mean it's not a webinar style. It is a very engaging, very interactive, embodiment of the things that we are teaching and the things that we are exploring. So show up with all your clothes on and your mind open.
Only we would actually have in the thing, you must be dressed.
Well, it's an adventure. I told you in the beginning of today's episode, it's always an adventure.
Always. You just never know where we're going to go. So, yes. So the link will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
And we look forward to having you join us live, interactive. Love to see your face and, see what's going on. Help everybody.
All right. Until next episode.
The next crazy adventure with Gaia and Dana. Where will they go?
Where will they go? And what will we talk about? Who knows?
Who knows?
All right.
Stay tuned.
Till next time. Mwah. Oh, wait. How can people spend time with us?
Oh my God. And we didn't talk about who we are.
We didn't talk about who we are. At this point, they probably, if you don't know who we are, our bios are in the show notes.
And they could be tuning in for the first time, right? This could be the first introduction to us. So
yes.
I'm gonna take advantage.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Dana Pharant, and I am a former dominatrix, high priestess, and 7-figure CEO, helping people to get their head out of their ass so that they can get on with their world domination plans. Over to you.
I'm Gaia Morrissette. You probably have already spent a lot of time with me at this point. But if you haven't, I am a holistic sexual wellness specialist, a BDSM expert, and a pro dominatrix, a current pro dominatrix. And I'm all about consensual world domination. So that's where I'm at these days.
All right.
You can reach me at GaiaMorrissette.com.
And you can reach me at DanaPharant.com, which is spelled PHARANT.
And for Dana's sake, I'm going to spell my name MORRISSETTE.com.
Because apparently after 4.5 years, I don't know how to spell it. So, yeah.
All right. Till next time, guys.